Welcome to Organizing Elephants. I'm Darla DeMorrow, and this is Radnor's Studio 21. Organizing Elephants is the show with sanity-saving wisdom from smart, busy, accomplished women. And today I am so excited to have my guest, Monique Sarkessian, fine artist. Thank you for coming on the show, Monique.
It was my pleasure, totally.
Well,
and I always love talking with you.
Aw, thanks so much. Well, we are both busy. We are both color lovers. We can see today, we were joking before we started that today's the color episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, but we have been, this is kind of funny because I'm going to share this story. We have kind of been Facebook friends for a while.
Yeah.
We actually were friends for a long time before we met in real life.
Right.
And then we bumped into each other actually in the store
Yeah.
the other day. And I said, please come on my show. I did not tell you this before, but I was actually out in the world just a few days ago, and I walked by some artwork in a store, and I thought, I'll bet that's Monique's. And I turned it over, and sure enough, it was. So you are everywhere, girlfriend. You are everywhere.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have you come on the show, and what we do here at Organizing Elephants is talk about how to be amazing and how to be organized and do all the things that we do. You love art, I love organizing, I love helping people be the best that they can be. So I want to hear about how you do all the amazing things that you do. Like, I know you travel, I know you have 5 kids.
Yeah.
I know that right now you're actually moving your art studio, so you're going through big things, and that's what happens in life, right?
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell me about your art.
Okay. Well, I've been painting for a long time. I knew I wanted to be a painter when I was 4 years old, and I've been painting professionally for 37 years, and really, those of us who are creatives, which is almost everybody to some extent,
Really?
There's nothing else you want to do, really.
Right.
So you just
get up
do
in
it.
the morning, and you are just as excited about today's project as you were about yesterday's, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Usually more.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Well, what are you working on these days?
I have a brand new series that I started, and it's called The Art of Brokenness. And
Wait, say that again.
The Art of Brokenness.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about a new passage of my life where I'm realizing that parts need to be put back together. And it's a series of custom portraits, and a lot of portraits mostly of women recreating, putting their pieces back together. And it's hard to describe on paper, but if people go to my website, they can see the first one is on there. Okay. And I'm also working on a healing curriculum that goes on along with that. It can be separate or it can be together, but that can be an online curriculum with videos and art therapy included in there. And for people who've had the misfortune of either going through trauma or even what Brene Brown calls art scars, where they've somewhere in their creative process in their life been discouraged or told by people that you can't do this. I'm trying to help them get over that and reclaim that part of their life, because a lot of people come up to me and ask me about, I used to love making art, and then something stopped me, and how to reclaim that.
I love that because we all, I'm of a certain age, right? We get to a certain point, and we have baggage, we have experiences, we have setbacks, we have just all sorts of things. It's called life, by the way, right?
Yeah. The part we try not to acknowledge ever happens, but it happens anyway.
Yeah. Especially I think today, in today's media, everything's supposed to be bright and shiny and happy all the time, and there's life going on all the time. It's not always a fairy tale. I have young kids, and I'm sharing with them, hey, life isn't always. You don't always get what you want when you want it. Yeah. So these are just regular life lessons. And I think, sharing your experience in such a beautiful, beautiful way. I mean, part of the reason that I'm drawn to your art is because it is so colorful, and you may hear this all the time, I don't know, but I feel like it's not perfect, and it's beautiful because it's not perfect, and the colors are very, even just like us today, coming on, and I said, oh, we can't wear red and pink next together, and you looked at me and said, why not?
Well, that's the artist brain, really, really.
Yeah.
No, I don't have perfect art, and I don't have a perfect life, but I also don't aim at perfect art either.
Right.
I'm really more about the essences and looking past the exterior and looking into, and that's why I don't have photorealistic work, because I choose to show something else that isn't the surface layer.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to give you the inside life and express the joy of life, and it's not about the perfection that we see in our external world right now be so popular to strive after, and that's really not what I'm about.
I love it. And again, that's part of why I'm drawn to you.
Thank you.
So tell me about your, how you get things done. I hear through the grapevine, I've never met them, but I hear through the grapevine that you have 5 kids.
Yeah.
And I love you for that.
Thank you.
Tell me how ages, how do they make you crazy? Are they fun every day? Tell me a little bit more.
Well, parenting has passages, just like how life has, and each passage is beautiful. Perfection doesn't exist in life. We strive for it, but it just doesn't exist, as we've been talking about. And so the range is, my youngest is now 13, which is totally mind-blowing, and my oldest is 24.
Okay.
The majority are, on the older end of there, and each one totally different. Strengths, weaknesses, parts of me, parts of my husband, parts of just being themselves, and how we all adjust as people under one roof is always a challenge and a joy. And I think you just have to, through the part of your life, figure out where you are today and how you're going to face whatever you have together, and most importantly, how you're going to love each other.
Right.
And what is really important. I think the daily challenge is always, what really is important today?
Yeah. So you mean picking up socks off the floor may not be the most important thing on any given day?
It may not be. It may be how you show somebody you love them, or it may be like, that just has to wait till later,
Right, right. So I get a sense from you, both in, the conversations we've had and the things that you share online, that that you maybe have a really good way of deciding what's important in the moment and moving on. But I also know that you, as an accomplished woman, as somebody who is making a living off of your art, which doesn't, that's not a given. That means you work hard. And again, that's one of the reasons I love you, is because you are always working. You are always, you're not necessarily giving your art away. You are selling it. It is valuable. You value yourself, and therefore your clients value you. So I want to know a little bit more about how that happens. How do you organize yourself to be out there and working and to be successful?
That is a big question.
Yeah.
Right. One of your elephant questions, I might add.
Well, we both know how to eat an elephant, right?
It's one bite at a time.
One bite at a time. So tell me about those bites that you've had to take over and over and over again.
Yeah. And some are daily, like the daily Instagram posts, where sometimes, I started doing them at 12:15 every day, and sometimes it's like 12:09, and I'm like, oh, it's time. What am I going to talk about today? And sometimes I know what I'm going to talk about. And but it became a discipline and became something that I did, and in the current market and what people nowadays are doing is they're spending a lot of time on social media, so social media becomes necessary to be seen, and I'm a one-person business, one-woman business, with all the tasks to manage myself and, the family. So that's a big elephant to eat, you know? And artwork is something that if I'm making it by myself, it can just go on my wall, but if I want it to get out, it has to be out there. It has to be seen, it has to get on my website, it has to be in a gallery, it has to be in a show. People have to see it to want to buy it, right? So all that has to happen for every piece. And it's a lot of steps from start to finish. And so the biggest thing really is, I was looking at your list of suggested questions, and like, what is my biggest hack for doing this is really prayer, and not, everybody has their own way that they approach or don't approach, but really getting focused in the morning on what's really important to me, spending time on that and being outside of myself. And then that brings me into clarity of how to spend my time. And really spending a lot of time these days, because I have a lot of big decisions going on of where to relocate my business to, where to refocus on, what shows to do, what shows not to do. I want to reach out to more galleries, and I make a lot of work. It pours out of me, even when I try not to make so much. And it all has to go and be out there and go help people. So how do you do that? And I get a condition that I call Octopus Brain, where you just have all these ideas and then you have to corral it all in. And so really spending that focused time in the morning and really narrowing down to, okay, this is what's really important. And then being able to go on from there. And, and how do I love people? How do I love my family in this? How do I love every person that I come across during the day? How do I show love to them? And it might sound like an abstract concept to your viewers, but for me, this is where my life has brought me. That really is, we're on the earth to show people how important they are, how valuable they are, how to care for them, so that they have the strength to go on and face their days too.
I love that. You just said so many important things, and I just want to connect on a couple of them. The one thing that you said is our days are really about showing love to the people that we're around. And from an organizing standpoint too, people are confused sometimes when I say to them, I really don't care how your house looks or how your workspace looks. It's not really about, organizing isn't really about how things look. It's about how your environment helps you interact with the people around you.
Yeah.
And that really is the thing. So, as people kind of make themselves crazy about, my house doesn't look like a magazine, or, my laundry room is whatever. It's really, that's not the important thing. The important thing is, can you support your family? Can your family support you? And can you do the thing that you love to do? You said the art just pours out of you. And I think that is so brilliant. When you're doing what you're meant to be doing, you can't help but do it.
Yeah.
Right? And the other thing you said was octopus brain. It sounds like we have a zoo going on in here between the elephants and the octopus. But yeah, I relate to that so much.
Okay.
How do you get yourself out of, when you feel like you have that octopus brain going on, how do you get yourself out of that?
Well, aside from the prayer, which really helps, lists. Even, whether I do I love voice memos on my iPhone. I just love them. Hey Siri, write this down for me. Because I'll be driving or something, or scraps of paper that I'll transpose into my notes or something like that. Really trying to stay focused on, because every day I have an enormous list of things I would love to tackle, and the reality is that the time it takes to tackle any of them can take 3 hours,
Right.
you know.
And do you find sometimes that the time it takes to get ready to tackle any of them, like to get your mind...
To build up?
Yes, right. Just to get that, I need to do, and sometimes you're maybe I'm talking about me.
No, I do that
Procrastinating
world.
something, thinking, it'll take an hour, but it takes me several hours to get to where I can manage to think about that hour.
Yeah. I do have those moments. I do have a buildup that it takes me to launch out of my house for the day, which takes me longer than I think, but it gets me so I can be out and go and keep in motion.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a perpetual motion machine.
Oh.
Yeah. And the procrastination often, or like the constant going back and having the need to snack on something, like if I'm stuck at home out of frustration, like I just am becoming very conscious of my triggers for those. And when there's a task that I don't like to do, like writing something, it can be daunting, and I'll procrastinate, and just knowing that I know you don't want to do this task, and that's okay, and just saying, it's okay that you don't want to do it, that's fine, and then I can go do it.
I love you being honest about that, because it happens to everybody, and people will call me and say there's something wrong with me, I can't do what I meant to do, and it's really part of the human condition. It's okay.
Absolutely.
But as a creative, I think a lot of times there's something going on in the back of our heads too, that we really do need more fuel to make that creative idea come to the forefront, or maybe we are working on something in the back of our brain while we're, I don't know, cleaning the sink or doing something else, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If I get sidetracked by housework, it means I'm procrastinating, because it's not the top of my list.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I say, gee, you're spending time cleaning the stove, that I can tell that you don't want to do that.
Right. So we learn these things about ourselves over time, right? Yeah. So.
And acceptance.
Right.
It's really acceptance,
Right.
And at the end of the day, if you didn't get anything done, often I'll say, my husband will say, oh, how was your day? And I'll say, well, I didn't get as much done. But if I managed to love people somehow, it was a successful day.
That's right. That's right. So tell me about some more of your hacks that manage to get you through your day, or make your day easier.
It helps if I've already prepared food for myself, rather than needing to run somewhere and eat something that doesn't suit my body. Right. That helps, and that's part of the build-up that takes me a while to actually launch from home. But, and so having some healthy snacks even in the car, because I tend to kind of bottom out. I need certain things to keep running, so that helps me. Little things of self-care, they don't have to be long, painstaking things, but just little things that I need to stay focused will help me, such as artists need play. People need play, whatever it is, whatever the self-care is of taking care of myself. And that can be as simple as making sure I've had my devotional time in the morning, and that might only take 5 minutes. But I notice when I do it and when I don't do it. Right. I notice that the day runs better. So there are just simple, like, survival skills that I have. And
I know for myself, if I go too many days without actually getting out and having lunch with somebody, or, it doesn't have to be lunch, it can be just be connecting somehow over coffee, or just sometimes a phone call with somebody that I've been texting with and haven't actually talked to in a while. I will just actually call them, which is so rare these days.
It's nice.
But it's that connection. I don't think of it necessarily as play, but it's okay, I don't have to work, and it's actually connecting with somebody that I care about, and that sometimes it goes days without happening, and then that's the self-care that I need. Do you find that too?
Yeah. Someone will pop into your head or your heart, and you'll be like, you know what, I'm just going to reach out to them. And I might say, this is crazy, but,
You and I have done this before, I know. And I will eventually, I will call people and say, I haven't thought of you in literally months or sometimes years, and for some reason you are crossing my mind, like hourly the last 3 days. And I will say, what's going on with you? There must be something fantastic. And they'll say, oh my gosh, how did you know? I just, turns out we're pregnant, or turns out I'm moving, or, something. And it has happened so often to me in the years since I've started my business. And at first I was, I thought it was coincidence. when it happens, I now stop what I'm doing and I pick up the phone and I call people. And they will, without a doubt, say, oh yeah, there's something amazing going on. Does that happen to you too?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that? I think if you're tuned into it.
I think so.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how you find time to travel. Because I know that you and I both love France.
Absolutely.
And you've traveled to France and Italy, and you've painted, and I think we even have some shots of, you're going to tell me the title, the one in the lavender fields?
Right.
What's the title of that
It's
painting?
Provence Lavender Fields.
Okay.
It was in Banon. I was driving up, in Provence, up this, up to a higher altitude to go find the lavender.
Yeah. So, so how do you, 5 kids, a business that you run completely out of your head.
Yeah.
And how do you find the time to go and travel?
I make time. And I'm not going for 6 months at a time. I'm really squeezing things in. It's part of sanity saving, it's part of the survival skills. And it's not easy, but there's always things you can do. And I've spent parts of my life being in frustration, either because I wasn't making time for my art, or wasn't making time for me, or wasn't making time for things that I really needed for myself. And then I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? It's just time that it needs to happen, And sometimes I went to Italy last summer with my husband, which was quite lovely. The summer before, I went to Italy with my 16-year-old, and that was wonderful, And when I went to France, I went by myself because I couldn't convince anyone else to go with me. But I just decided, you know what? If I don't, when am I going to go?
Yeah. That's not a problem anymore. You have a travel buddy now. Anytime you want to go to France.
Yes, awesome. And I love that about you too.
Yes.
Always ready for that. And so, it's just becomes a priority of things that become important. And I'm also realizing, because I don't always have a good balance between work and family life, and I that's a work in progress. Part of family life is, you have your daily time, but getting away together really goes far in making memories and building that. And so being able to do that with people that you love is a necessary luxury.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go somewhere expensive, you don't have to go somewhere fancy, but I found that when I went to France, it was cheaper than going somewhere much closer to home.
Yes.
And I won't name any names, but it really, if you want to find a way to do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And it was totally a game changer for me, and that world was no longer closed. And it was really nice.
Right.
And I also got to paint things that I loved, and I took my paints with me, and it was wonderful.
Well, that's the thing. You've replenished a whole another category or another well that you can now go to for inspiration, right?
Absolutely.
And so you're strengthening the business side, the creative side of you, while just personally, it is, it's fun to get away. It's fun to experience new things.
Yeah.
I experienced the same thing when we traveled to Paris. And we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment for a whole month. It changes, it shifts. There's a shift inside that you have a whole new perspective, and sometimes that perspective is everything.
Yeah. I believe travel should change you.
Yeah.
I believe that, especially if you're going somewhere around people that you don't know, even if it's in your same country, that you should absorb what that's like and what people are going through there, and come back different and better.
Right.
And then take that out into the world around you.
Yeah. Well, so I wanted to throw this question at you. I think, you said you've been painting for 37 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Professionally.
Professionally,
yes.
Absolutely. Well, and that's important.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you would have words of wisdom for your younger self.
There's a lot of words that I would tell her. A lot of words, yeah. I probably go through that speech every day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's easy to stay in the current problems and the day and everything that we're trying to get accomplished, and And every now and then I think, what would I tell that younger gal? And, you know, what I was doing important at that point? Even just today, I forget exactly what it was, but, you know, I pulled something aside, put it aside for a while, and I pulled it back out today, and I thought, you know, now is the time to be looking at this. And as I've gotten older, I've become a lot more tolerant to God's timing, to, you know, timing has to be right. And I think when I was younger, a lot of times it was all about, it's in my head now, so it has to happen now. So do you have that same sort of wisdom or experience?
Well, time is totally different at this point in my life. You know, I just turned 53. Life looks totally different than it looked at 20. You know, I mean, absolutely different. Some things actually are the same. You know, ways. You know, what was important then, and you know, but you just have a different frame for everything. You really, really do. And the things you've seen, the things you've been through are all different. I get just like the total message I gave today of just, you know, loving people, love yourself. You are worthy of being loved, you know, and you are valuable. Everybody's valuable. Treat other people valuable. Treat yourself valuable, you know. Make time for money comes and it goes, you know. It is really not what we're supposed to be striving for. And don't take care of yourself, but don't follow vain things, you know, like whatever, the latest look or look, comparing yourself. Women are so hard on themselves. You know, and you feel like you have to be all these things, and you have to look like this forever, better. You never think you're beautiful. All the people that I think are perfect, none of the women are happy with how they look, and it's just like, okay, finally I reached a point of, you know what, I'm just going to accept myself, you know, and so what if, you know, sometimes I do this or I do that, or, you know, I'm not perfect, my house isn't perfect. It's me, and I'm created in a special way. I am the product of all that I've been created to be, and even my trauma, you know, and that's what the Art of Brokenness project is about. It's about embracing who you are and realizing that even in your brokenness, putting the broken pieces back, it makes you more valuable. All you've been through makes you more valuable.
I can't even summarize what you've just said, because I think it's a message that we can't hear too much. And, you know, I hope people roll back the tape and listen to what you just said, because it's from your heart. I know. It's what I tell people when I come into their homes. It's, you know, you are where you are. Love yourself. Love the people around you. You can't do better than that. Tell us where we can find you. I know that you're actually in a studio that's not in Wayne. You're moving into Wayne. I'm so excited. You and I are going to do lunch a lot more.
Absolutely.
But tell people
and collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do some of that, right? So we have some plans. But tell people where they can see your stuff. Where can they, you know, trip across you out in the world? Where can they go to your website?
There are many places they can find me locally if they're in the Wayne area. I have artwork at Gallery 222 in Malvern, which is right down Lancaster Avenue. It's just a couple miles from here. I have artwork at Kingshaven in Paoli, which is a beautiful showroom design center, very elegantly designed.
The frame shop here in town.
Great frame up. They often show my work. Right now they have pendants that have photos of my artwork on them. I wasn't sure. I had just thought, should I include that or shouldn't I include that? There are many places around. My current studio is in Spring City, which, even though it sounds like it's far away, it's only 14 minutes from the King of Prussia Mall. And I have a VIP collector party coming up there on February 9th, which is champagne and chocolate. It's very elegant. And a cellist from the Philadelphia Orchestra. And then I will be moving to Wayne on Pennsylvania Avenue, right behind the train station.
Right behind our favorite hardware store in the world.
Really. And I know. Good. So I will be very visible around there. I often show at Wayne Arts Center. and I'm also teaching classes, and there are lots of places, but you can go onto my website, which is my name, Monique Sarkessian Art.com.
And I think we're showing that
Yeah.
on the TV here.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage people to go, because honestly, some days I stop at your website just because it makes me happy.
Thank you.
And my goal is to work so that I can purchase one of your pieces or put them in one of my designs. So
Love to do that.
I'd love to. So thank you so much, Monique, for being on the show
It was
and
all my
sharing
pleasure.
your wisdom and carving time out of your day to
Absolutely.
love the people here in the studio.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks so much. Again, you've been watching Organizing Elephants. I'm Darla DeMorrow, and I'll see you next time here on Radnor Studio 21.